Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another FACEIT Kasa Esports versus Hivemind Best of 5 series for the Season 8 Masters FACEIT League. And once again, joining me, I missed the last one, unfortunately, but joining me once again, as always, is the wonderful Zev. Good evening / early morning.
Yeah, and morning indeed for you, but it is evening for everybody in the US and Canada and everybody over here on this side of the world at the very least. But we are hopefully in for another exciting match. We just had the one that you missed. We got to have a few surprises in that matchup, starting off with the fact that we didn't start with Nepal. It was Ilios
Blew my
for the
mind.
first time ever. Yeah. You're not here and
Absolutely
they
blew
don't go
my mind.
Nepal,
Maybe it's a me thing. If they
maybe
go
it's a you
Nepal again
thing,
today, maybe I'm the problem. So maybe I should just miss the first pick phase so that we get something more interesting, and then I'll come back in as soon as the map's chosen, you know?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That might be the strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was it was an exciting series where there were a few close calls for Kasa. They managed to hold on in the end to it. I think it helped that the series was a little more of a back and forth rather than a, burning out, trying to claw their way back in type situation. But it was a good showing overall on their part.
So, I mean, this is the third match in a row that has gone all 5 games. But what's interesting is the last 2 times when I was here, it has been Kasa losing the first 2, then making the comeback and losing the last one. Whereas I believe the series I missed was the opposite, right? So Kasa won the first 2, then lost the next 2, and then just clutched that last map, right? So it was the reverse.
Right, a little bit of a reverse.
Yeah. So really, if you're a Kasa fan, what we're looking for here is win the first 2 maps. And then it's a guaranteed win series, right? That's the pattern we're seeing. And we have a close series today, which is extremely important for both these teams as we look at the current standings in the league. The Kasa is 12th. Hivemind is currently 13th. So this win could completely tip the scales for either team. So it is crunch time for both of these teams against each other.
I believe Hivemind is coming off of a little bit of a loss streak. Fortunately, Kasa is, they're bouncing back and forth between a little bit of a win-loss pattern. They've won 3 of their last 5, which is a good way for them to be going. They're upward trending in that regard. But Hivemind is currently coming off of 3 losses, so they're definitely going to be looking, especially with them being so close to the bottom here, facing potential, relegation if they lose out and somebody else manages to get a win type of deal. Because, it's those 15 and 16 slots that are going to be facing the automatic relegation before going to the LQs. But this might be an opportunity for them to just kind of, throw whatever they can out there. They might try some new things. They could, come out really aggressive, or they could just be looking to completely change up their game plan here against Kasa. Whereas Kasa's in a little bit more of a comfortable spot, but they are definitely by no means out of the forest yet.
No, and I mean, just getting a couple more players. So we talked about this a little bit last time. The seeding could end up being really, really important for where they end up placing. So I think definitely as they're on an upward trend here, they definitely want to kind of finish off strong in these last few games. Try and show that this new roster is really starting to kind of blend together and figure out their footing, right? Figure out their steps. I am happy to be surprised today. Obviously, I wasn't here for the last series, so I don't know if we had any like crazy deviations in their picks. Were we seeing very similar things out of them? The Vendetta Zarya, was it more kind of front to back? What seemed to be working well for Kasa in the previous series that they won?
What seemed to work well for them was
when
they went aggressive. Every time that they went aggressive and they played their game, it worked out very often in their favor, particularly Skinny Legend going bananas on the Vendetta. as always. But there was definitely some difficult situations that they faced because I will say at the very least, the last team that they went up against, Artemis, they liked to mix it up quite a bit. We saw a lot of different characters played from their side of things, and it was not the normal type of exchange that they would often run into. So it was
Mhm.
definitely an interesting matchup for them. But whenever Kasa played their game and they got any kind of momentum rolling, they were able to keep that momentum rolling, and it really just ultimately benefited them playing that, sort of pacing. We saw a lot of the Zarya, but we did see an occasional swap over to the Diva actually from Leo, which is something that we
Interesting.
normally do not see. But the Diva was a pretty vital player. We did see, unfortunately, the first escort C9 from Kasa. They won the fight.
Oh.
They defended the point, but they ended up C9ing off of it, and the Freya jumped over the wall and backcapped the escort. And because it was just the final bit to go on Dorado, that last little stretch, and they made
Oh.
a really aggressive push, pushing everybody off of the point. And as everybody went around the corner going down the ramp, the Freya slipped in behind and just backcapped it, and ultimately pushed the payload the entire way. So it was unfortunate there, but then we got into OTs, and it was a very exciting game overall.
Yeah, and I mean, I think from what you've highlighted, it makes sense. We've talked at length over the course of this season about Casa playing to their aggression, right? We know them to be, I would say, in both rosters. I think in the original roster, they like to be a bit more stable, but I think particularly with the big change here being McChicken on this DPS is a very aggressive DPS player. And I also think works very well in tandem with Leo, who seems to be a very aggressive tank as well. And this duo really feels like the staple of this team, right? Not to say that none of the others are putting in work, because believe me, we've seen some insane support performances as well from them, Manjiro, Hex, Red X. But I think that the hallmark of this new roster seems to be playing to that aggression. And when they really embrace it, it works out really well for them. I think they struggle when they feel that they have to be reactive, like they have to defensively react to what they're seeing rather than playing their own thing, like playing the way that they want to play. And I think when they have to try and react, they seem to be struggling to find their footing a lot more. Sometimes it works out. The Sigma has proven to be pretty good. I think Leo plays a very good Sigma, but I really do want to see them in these last few series really push that identity of what this new roster can become and how they play.
Absolutely. And I think a little bit of it showed was just how aggressive all the members of Casa play, particularly, Leo paired with them, all proven and skinny, complementing each other with that aggressive play style. Last week, all three of them finished with over 120 elims and within
Oh
5
my
elims of each
gosh.
other. So a lot of,
Jesus.
they're all getting involved in the kills that are happening for their team. It's not just, one person carrying all the weight. There might be individual matches where one player is definitely putting in a
Mm.
little bit more than others, but then in another match, somebody else, is maybe picking it up and is, really racking on the elims in exchange. But overall, it's been, very consistent offensive presence by Kasa all around.
I mean, think about what their favorite kind of comp is to run, and what we see them so often run is Vendetta Zarya, who are maybe the Zarya isn't considered as aggressive, but I mean, once you got a bubble on you or you bubble the Vendetta, you can just run it forward. But think of the supports they play, the Lucio, the Kiriko, these very mobile champs that they love to get in on. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about the map, but
Well,
oh
there
lordy,
you
it's
go.
happening. It's not me, guys. I'm not the problem. I'm not the drama. We are going back to Ilios, unbelievably. And
Yep.
I would be really interested into what's triggered this change, into why we're suddenly now seeing Ilios rather than
Well,
always Nepal that we've seen all season long.
I believe in this situation, I believe this was Hivemind's map select, but if it was not, then, you know, it could just be that they saw success on Ilios and decided that they feel comfortable with it. But from the ban side of things, we are actually going to see Sojourn and Hazard banned out for this match. So we are not going to see Sojourn here early on, and they're going to have to go an alternative option, which, you know, normally Sojourn is that go-to DPS for these teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come out instead. You know, when that happens, we might end up seeing Proven going to that Cassidy, while McChicken picks it up and goes on the Echo and plays more of that flying harasser, and then copying off of whatever else they're able to see. But instead we do not have Proven in today at the moment. It is going to be Sunnyside starting off in that alternative DPS role.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to note as well. I think Sunnyside and Proven play very differently. I was going to talk about this Freya. I think Freya with Sunny can do some really good work on these high grounds. Try and take these elevated positions and just fire that damage down non-stop with the help of their aggression. Hex and Red X once again on this duo, and this feels like a very comfort comp here for Kasa. And on the other side, we see it's a mirror match on both sides, so it's going to come down purely to execution here as we get to point number one. Vendettas chasing each other in this corridor, as already Zari there to back them up and chases McChicken off. As Shashi getting a little fancy feet, but McChicken draws first blood in this, managing to find the Kiri, dives on top of Mahiki, gets the kill. Amity does trade out, Dreepy gets the second, and Leo is trades all round. It's a 2 for 2. Both tanks are, Amity is down, so the tank difference could be huge here for Kasa to keep them on point, and it looks like that is going to force Hivemind back. Apologies, my brain just shut off.
Yeah, it's very common that we see that whenever the tanks get taken out on the exchange, you know, sometimes if you lose the DPS, it doesn't take care of it. Amity dropping Hex there. But when you lose that tank, it can be so pivotal in whether or not you're able to stay in the fight. Muhiki and Shashi getting very low right now. Shashi is going to fall to McChicken, which we saw a lot of Vendettas last week. A lot of Vendetta 1v1s on both sides as a key proponent of how matches played out, and How's Your Day is going to find Red X for an elimination there, and it is just a slaughter of kills back and forth right now.
I just love watching McChicken on this Vendetta pick. Like, the way that they use these cooldowns to like keep up with that Lucio was so clean. The slight step back into the throw out, into the dive onto it is so clean. It's lovely to watch these insane mechanically gifted Vendetta players. As Amity does get a trade onto Leo. That's a big trade. Sashi and Dreepy get the picks as well. So this looks good. This is a great team fight for Hivemind to get some percentage in their favor finally. And he's going to back Kasa up with the ultimate advantage as well, with Dreepy and Mahiki both looking at theirs.
Yeah, things that Kasa ran into was actually this side angle. This side angle is where they got pressured initially last week, and at the very beginning of their match, they were actually kind of spawn camped a little bit by the opposition Artemis, and they managed to push out along that long point after swapping to the Cassidy at one stage of it, and they just retained momentum from that point on. And so now here we are seeing them being pressured at their spawn once again, and if they can get a collective push out, you know, that leads to momentum onto the point, they may be able to take it and never fall off of it once more, as we see Shashi picking up 2 kills here as Kasa looks to find an opportunity to get out of spawn.
Yeah, this feels like maybe a bit of a mental game here from Hivemind, just like keeping them back, not even letting them really get out, as Shashi's playing this high ground incredibly, and Sunny's having a really hard time getting these picks, but the grab is big. Amity does suicide technically, but definitely off the back of a great grab. McChicken follows up with a kill on Shashi. That's a huge amount of their damage gone, and the follow-up from McChicken is mega. This is what we expect of the combo. And always, always when we watch Kasa these days with this new roster, it's look to Leo for these grav plays. How many times have we seen them clutch these fights up with even just willing to throw down this grab for a single pick?
You know, we didn't get to see too many grab well combinations last week. There was one or two, but it was less common as he was very frequently resorting to that Sigma. And we see the Kiriko ults coming out. Beats are dropped by Hivemind, but it's not enough to keep them alive as Amity is going to fall. Dreepy and Muhiki very low, and Amity is actually going to swap over to the Winston now to try and get back to point quickly and maybe provide a little more shielding as the Vendettas go diving in. McChicken looking to finish them off, not quite able to catch Shashi just yet, but the Freya is poking from afar.
Yeah, and I mean, this looks really good for Kasa right now. The Beats does get dropped. McChicken already gets the pick. They've got the ult advantage very, very handedly here. So McChicken, look for them to drop it and get these kills, as it's going to be very hard. It is OT. They need to try and get in. There's the ult that they needed. Can they get a pick? McChicken gets a double on the side. Waits for them to poke their heads out. Gets the double kill. Sunnyside following up. Dreepy does get Sunny in the mix, but it's great performance from Kasa on point number 1. Just playing that ult economy advantage that we talk about so often as being the pressure points in this game of Overwatch.
And sure enough, things turned out just a little bit how we talked about it for that point. You know, we saw Hivemind trying to keep Kasa locked up in spawn, but as soon as Kasa, they got that fight coming out with the Gravwell exchanges and managed to take that momentum of winning that fight onto the point and maintain control throughout the rest of the match and put Hivemind on the back foot, and they were not able to get themselves stabilized for that return assault by Kasa. So good job to Kasa there.
Sometimes, Zav, sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we get our calling right. As we look to point number 2 here. Nothing changing. Amity going straight back to that Zarya. So looking to, once again, the mirror match. Execution is key. As you already see the Vendettas just brawling out. Limit testing each other. Who can get the better? But McChicken, oh, I mean, I can't even fathom how they got out of that, to be honest. But somehow makes it out. The Freya is trying to find a good angle. They're using this high ground to try and get down. They do have good position on the point already, though. Hivemind Sashi gets the first kill on McChicken, wins out that trade finally. And I think that is going to back them off just a little bit. You do not want to let this Vendetta get free roaming damage on you.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for letting the Vendetta even just start off with hitting those ranged attacks, because if a Vendetta gets to start the fight with max stacks of their passive, that just makes them all the more dangerous. If you can avoid some of the initial range poke that the Vendetta puts out with that right click when blocking, then you know, it really helps a long way. As we see the Vendettas trading a little bit. Muhiki finishes off McChicken there with the assist by How's Your Day, and it is a bit of a pressure situation for Kasa trying to get in onto that point.
Yeah, I think this is a back out angle if you're Kasa. Just try and regroup. Try not to stagger or lose any more people, and try and play for these ults. Red X not too far away. Sunny pretty close. And I think really you want to try and look to Leo. Try and build up that grav. Get that huge team fight winning ultimate ready. And let McChicken try and get these poking picks to give you a numbers advantage, but Shashi gets the better of it right now. Just getting these first pickoffs is causing huge problems. The Kiri ult is dropped. It's allowing Leo to sit here on the point. They do turn it in their favor, so really big turn just with really a Kiri ult and nothing much else.
Yeah,
the Freya ult was dropped as well.
The Freya was dropped, they missed the follow-up aim shot, which unfortunately managed to allow Amity to stay alive initially, and now we're going to be seeing Hivemind pushing right back in. Amity does fall off the map, killing Red X though, so it's a bit of a trade in that situation, but Hivemind is having no issue sticking on to the objective as they take control once again. Muhiki taking out Hex, and Hex is the last to respawn. They are the only one with their ult available at this time for Kasa, so Kasa is waiting for them before they can look to push back in. But there are 3 ults available for Hivemind right now, so they're going to be ready to fire back at anything Kasa prepares if they make a last-second rush, which they're going to have to do with the percentage here. Getting close.
They've got to touch, and like you said, the ult is not in their favor. It's a good grab to try and hold McChicken in it. Can they get the finish? They drop the beats as well just to stay alive as much as possible. The counter grab is great, though, from the bottom. Leo is on 21 HP, though. Cannot follow up on it. So, Amity and How's Your Day just pop them. And this looks very, very handedly in Hivemind's favor. This one wasn't even close, to be honest. So, really good mental from Hivemind just to completely dominate that second control point.
What really looked like happened here was that Hivemind simply... they took advantage of the wins that they got. They didn't overcommit or try to play too overconfidently with their play like they did a little bit in that first round where they tried to play up by Kasa's spawn and didn't let Kasa get controlling position really at any time, and they just maintained and played the ult economy advantage that they had by not trading deaths frequently in the exchanges.
I think this is what happens when you have a mirror match, though, right? It's all about that early fighting. That first fight, who comes out on top, gets that ult built up enough to kind of take the later fights. It's all about this knock-on effect, right? In these mirror matches. So this is what we're seeing, and this first fight is going to be very, very important as already full brawling. Freya's got a nice position up on the high ground up there, Dreepy, just peppering down the arrows quite freely. As you see, going in, Shashi just trying to get some damage down, force out some reactions. Ajiriga's quite low, but can keep themselves up. McChicken is going ham, gets Shashi really, really low, but is being kept up. Mahiki does go down eventually. McChicken playing the limits of their heroes. Sunny following up, getting Amity, and these are the early picks that they needed. And already you can see the difference across the board of these ult economy percentages from that first win.
Yeah, a little bit higher advantage overall. You can tell Shashi is having a little bit of a tough time getting that ult generation on the Vendetta, which can be really pivotal, you know, because that ultimate, that Vendetta ult is one of the most destructive ults that is capable of just completely eliminating multiple targets right away if it gets that full charge off. And so you like to see that happen. Dreepy falls to McChicken. McChicken getting in on that Vendetta once again, and we're seeing Hivemind being pushed back once more. Many members very low. Hex and Red X getting in there, finishing off Shashi and Amity. Muhiki falling, and that is the supports getting involved in the killing. So well done there. They just fully committed to that aggression, Kasa did, and they are maintaining a steady foothold.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to target selection, really, you know, rather than just spamming and going on the first person you see. It feels like Kasa have maybe just quickly said to themselves, okay, we need to take out this Freya first because their damage is causing us problems, and that's what you see McChicken doing. Red X takes out Amity. That's the first pick already, and this looks like a pretty strong wash. Anything you can do, we can do better. You want to hold us in spawn? We'll do the same right back to you, as Kasa is holding this very aggressive front side position. And we talked about it at the top of this cast, right? We want to see them be aggressive. We want to see them do these plays.
There's the grab wall.
Is low. The grab is on nearly all of them. With McChicken over the top, the combo that we love to see them pull off. The grab into the Vendetta over the top gets the job done. Sunny gets the picks off the back of it, and Kasa take this first map 2-1 with a little shakier middle, but they came back in style. And I think that is going to show us exactly where Kasa's mental is at for this series.
It was a great turnaround by Kasa to come back in that third round and completely one-sidedly establish control and dominance of the match, not letting Hivemind get any percentage on the point. And, you know, really, they played that last control very well with their positioning, maintaining that one court area, basically forcing Hivemind to have to push through it to get to the point when they had that ult economy advantage of being able to have that Vendetta and Zarya combination at the ready. And, you know, Leo had a 30% ult charge advantage. The other Zarya was just not even close to having it available, so they couldn't even counter ult or anything in that nature. So that type of situation was just very well played by Kasa. And, you know, it's looking like we're going to be heading back to Dorado for this next one.
Yeah, interesting map choice from Hivemind. Obviously, this is Hivemind's map choice, I believe, because they lost the game. Usually, the loser picks the map. So this is really interesting from Hivemind, because here's the thing. We've talked a lot about Dorado with Kasa because they've looked very, very strong on it to begin with. Their first couple of series with this new roster, they dominated Dorado. But it's looked a little shaky sometimes for them. They've looked a little 50-50 on it lately over the past few series. Sometimes just eking out a win, sometimes looking really strong on it. So it's interesting that Hivemind have decided to play into that, and banning the Lucio is kind of wild.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were not able to see that second ban this time. It didn't stay around, but that Lucio is going to fall. And to talk about what you're saying with Dorado, they actually had a very strong performance on the Dorado in their previous matchup against Helios Artemis. It just was that, or Iliad Artemis, and they actually had a really strong performance on it. They just C9.
Just C9.
And allowed that overtime, and not being able to have, you know, they very much so had that match won. And that would have put them up into a 2-0 early. Instead, that allowed for the game to go into an overtime where they ultimately lost in that overtime round, and that forced it to a 1-1 to start that series off. But it's looking like we are going to be seeing D.Va banned out as the tank on this map. And D.Va was a very important factor on this map last week when these two teams
They've been
played.
doing their homework.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of tanks, you know, if we see anything different than the Zarya. But with the Vendetta and the Sojourn coming through, it just makes so much sense for the Zarya to stick around, because now you have two characters that can just really capitalize on those grab wells.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, nearly mirrored. Obviously, Sunny rocking that Sojourn. They're choosing to default to the Wu Yangs instead of their Lucios. So this is kind of interesting to me as their other partner for the Kiri. We've seen Wu Yang be pretty effective on this map, particularly the knockbacks from the main attack can be so devastating to try and like pull people and disturb people on this high ground. So we'll see if that works out for both. And I also think the ultimate is so effective with a Vendetta, right? You pop the Wu Yang on a Vendetta and just full send them in, let them fly, and do the damage for you. And it just facilitates their kind of main playmakers that we've been seeing here in Shashi and in McChicken.
Yeah, you know, we are seeing Manjaro on that Wu Yang because Hex doesn't get to play that Lucio that they so very much well excel in. And Leo quickly picking up a kill here on Shashi to get things started, as the other members of Hivemind are under 50% and are having to hide around the corner and try to get themselves topped off while they wait for Shashi to come back before they push again. But McChicken does fall as well. So, you know, we are going to see that, you know, I think with the Wu Yang, part of why it works out on these things like Escort is there's a lot of long angles in which that right click is able to be effective and help from a distance.
Yeah, absolutely. And already they've gone quite a distance here, Hivemind. This is really good start for them. Honestly, you can get held by that first archway pretty hard sometimes with that high ground, but they get through. And now it's just a case of getting it over the finish line to this first point. They've got plenty of time left, but McChicken, swords to the face, gets a double off the back of it. And this is going to be a full routing. So Hivemind, you have got to reset And luckily, they were kind enough to kill them all in very quick succession. So not much staggering there. But Red X looking at an ultimate on that Kiri. Manjiro not too far away. And Mehiki on the other side. So maybe looking at a bit of a Kiri ult drop here on both sides to try and get their teams moving forward.
Yeah, but if the fight does break out, we do see that Manjiro has theirs ready and waiting, so they can very much so get a counter engagement off, but How's Your Day is going to be right there just behind it.
There we go.
97%. The gates are out on both sides, and the teams are looking to start the fight. How's Your Day dropped immediately, though, by McChicken, so they're not going to have that second ult available. Dreepy got theirs and popped it immediately, but Leo coming through, picking up a double kill. Sunnyside finishing off Dreepy, and McChicken will take the last kill for a full team wipe.
Yeah, instantly, as soon as one Kiri ult went off, the other one was immediately dropped by Red X, understanding that they needed it. And we talk about the importance of the first picks so often and getting that numbers advantage. And McChicken is doing an unbelievable job at getting these first picks, as we should expect, because they are being very hard facilitated by the comp. So this is what we expect to see is How's Your Day pops, tries to let them go in, drops that Wu Yang ult that doesn't really get much off the back of it. And look to Leo here. The grab is there. McChicken has the Vendetta ult. It's both available. Amity does have a counter grab if they want to use it, whichever way around that works. But Sunny also sitting on that ultimate advantage if they want it. And here we go, getting quite aggressive, trying to get on Sunny, who does drop the railgun, swings and gets a shot on Dreepy. That was disgusting behavior, to be honest. I don't even know how they got that. Clip it and ship it. That was ridiculous. And it already stops this attack, but the grabs are there. Red X over the top, gets the kills. McChicken over the top as well. Just getting pick after pick. There's 10 seconds left, and it looks like they might get full held. What a defense here from Kasa. They have come to play today, and they are not messing around. I'm not even sure they could touch. They do get the overtime, but with the Winston, but already Dreepy has gone down. It's just the Winston who needs to keep trying to touch Sunnyside. It's just disaster here for Hivemind, and Kasa looking incredible in this series already.
Yeah, Kasa is really looking strong here. They managed to hold that point so effectively that the payload actually made its way back to that initial choke where people very commonly do get held up at in those exchanges. But you know, it all started with that one team fight where the Kiri gates went out, and that fight pretty much decided things because it gave Kasa a complete ult economy advantage, because that fight started out with the Wu Yang going down immediately, putting Hivemind on the back foot. But from that point on, Kasa didn't have to burn any ults, and instead, from Hivemind's side, we actually saw a couple panic ults come out as Dreepy got their ult during that fight and immediately popped it, and they didn't get anything out of it in that return. So then from that point on, they were just down on ults the rest of the round. As, you know, when they came back, Kasa still had 4 ults available. You know, Manjiro's ult was ready for when How's Your Day popped theirs off. They used it in counteraction there, and then Leo and McChicken both had their ults ready and waiting, as well as Sunnyside with the Sojourn, which we saw them take full effect of that, flicking headshots around and just eliminating players left and right.
Yeah, and obviously we see some big switch ups here. Amity going to that Sigma, trying to just play this very heavy front to back kind of style. I don't know if that's going to work. Manjiro already hovering the Ana. We'll see if they stay on this. Obviously, we could be getting baited a little bit here. I wouldn't be surprised to actually see them stay on it with a good recognition of how Hivemind are going to want to try and hold this. But there we go, back to spawn onto the Wu Yang, and Sunnyside trying to get a couple of picks on that Widow, but probably looking to back pretty soon. And there we go onto the Freya. So samesies all the way through, with Amity being the only difference this time round. And I think might struggle just a little bit. The stun is really nice for divers like Vendetta, but we'll see how that works if they can take this Sigma off the high ground. They don't have a lot of room to work with here, Hivemind, so they are going to have to make moves pretty quickly. Already McChicken just sending it straight on Dreepy, and this Freya looks incredibly vulnerable against these Vendettas as soon as they get sent on.
It's difficult because you have to take the time to get that aim shot, and you know, if you're not able to flick it right on to the Vendetta, they're going to be gone before you can even, you know, really react to their pressure, because they can just get in and out and tag you back and forth and wait for you to get low to just fully commit to finishing you off. And right now we're seeing Leo just pushing up on this team, leading the way with that Zarya, as the members of Kasa are just following in little by little, getting these members of Hivemind down low. The battle of the Vendettas inside the house. McChicken wins that exchange. Redex and Leo picking up one each as well, and they are going to take this match.
It's done. I mean, just an unbelievably strong showing on Dorado from them. I think we kind of saw the writing on the wall after round number 1, let's be honest. That's a very tough hold for anyone if you get full held like that. But man, this Vendetta never ceases to impress me from McChicken. What a demon player on this character. And if trends are to be believed, this looks good for a Kasa 5-map win, seeing as they've won the first 2 maps now. So if trends are to be believed, Hivemind will win the next 2, and then Kasa will come away with it in the 5th. But given what we've seen, this might just be a straight 3-0.
You know, it would be definitely detrimental for that to happen. I think that's what Kasa would like to avoid in its entirety. You know, really establish a clean, dominating performance. They have not had too many opportunities of the back and forth to be what they run into. But, you know, you really want to see them just get a nice, clean, like, win overall here.
But look at where we're going for map number 3, Runasapi. So we are going to a push map for map number 3. And as we see some of the ban starts come out, I am not surprised by this ban whatsoever. The Zarya ban. You have to take away this combo. We have seen them do, we talked about how much they love aggression. We talked that we wanted to see Kasa run this aggressive lineup. And this Zarya Vendetta duo is, it's so hard to deal with. Because the bubble just makes, it gives so much time for the Vendetta to get their combos off, their damage off. And there's no counter to it really on the other side, unless you're going to run the same thing. So I love this hero ban as a start.
Yeah, we're just going to wait to see what that other side comes through. But, you know, it's clear that the Zarya is the main problem, you know, for what Hivemind is having to deal with. And they have to make that decision on whether or not they want to ban the Zarya or if they want to ban the Vendetta. But clearly, the Zarya is the much more impactful option to them, you know, because it just sets up anything for whatever DPS they decide to run, because you are able to use that grab well for more than just you know, a Vendetta. It just so happens that it works most frequently and effectively with the Vendetta, which is very difficult. And we actually do see the Vendetta ban come through as well.
Oh, they're going to full sending.
So there is a full sending, no Zarya, no Vendetta, and it is going to be a much different look here. So it's probably going to be seen, we're probably going to be seeing Skinny Legend here on the Echo, and maybe we see Sunnyside still on Sojourn, or we see McChicken go to Sojourn and Sunnyside goes to Echo or Cassidy. Something along those lines might be what we see in exchange.
Maybe a Tracer. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Tracer here either on this kind of push map as well. I think we've seen a lot of Cassidy out from them on this map as well. We've seen Cassidy be a popular choice for teams on this map. So very interested to see. But I mean, there's so much that the Zarya offers. And I think just to kind of close out that point, one of the things I really love about watching Leo play is it's not always about getting the massive team fight grab. Sometimes it's just about finding the right one. Find the right hero that they need to lock down. And that grab is such an effective control tool for that. So I like those bans. We got the Soja now, Hazard as well, and Diva once again, and Lucio as well. So clearly feeling like this Lucio hero is a big issue in general. Although maybe we've got the wrong information because both teams seem to be able to be hovering that right now. So maybe our information is wrong.
But we are seeing, if they stick to this, Shashi is going to be playing the Mei, which is an interesting choice here. We are seeing McChicken go to that Echo, like we talked about in Sunnyside on the Sojourn. So definitely an aggressive, stance that they're still sticking with. They're not looking to really let up the type of offensive pressure that they can put out, as we see Shashi already getting low as things get started, forcing out the ice block early.
Yeah, that's a big cooldown as well to force out early. I think the Mei just gives so much control and isolation into these tanks. So definitely maybe not as much like backline pressure, but this front to back that they're clearly going to be playing around these Sigmas. I like the Mei pick here. I think the Echo can do a lot of work, but already we see that in practice. Leo gets completely isolated, goes very low. Was pretty lucky to get out of that, but we see the tactic here. Isolate the tank, put the wall behind them, try and burst them down with the stun, and just drop them before anything else, and then run them down front to back. As we see Amity and Sunny trading out 1-for-1. The colors are still bugged if you are watching this, so we will do our best to keep on top of that for you, but the Overwatch client bug is still very much present.
Yeah, we are seeing right now Kasa slowly moving that objective forward. How's your day? Getting really low, having to jump away on that Lucio. Not able to stick around as they were in the backside of Kasa, being a little bit of a gnat, just being a little bit of a bother. And we're going to see the two Sigmas boxing each other in the back rooms off to the side. And we get a knockdown there on Amity, and Leo's going to take the advantage in that exchange, going for the double here off of McChicken's kill. Red X taking out Dreepy, McChicken for another one on Shashi, and that is going to be a team kill for Kasa so quickly. In a fight that really wasn't very much other than the two tanks hitting each other, it rapidly spiraled into just a complete slaughter for Kasa to take a nice, steady lead here.
But then you get the Echo in the mix. The double Sigma drop is, it's deadly. This is the advantage of an Echo. Aside from the pressure, it's how can you use that copy most effectively? And the double Sigma there working out wonders. As Leo willing to drop that grab on their opposite number with Sunny with the railgun over the top. Time to perfection as they drop on the floor to finish that pickoff immediately. Gets themselves a little out of position as How's Your Day finishes that off with a nice punch to the face, and it's all over the shop. Dreepy trying to stay alive. Shashi does find McChicken as they switch onto that Tracer. Hex trading it out, getting their opposite number on the Lucio, and it's Dreepy's time to drop that railgun. Damage gets the second one on Red X, and this is why we see the Sojourn banned so often. This hero is a menace right now.
Sojourn just brings so much consistent damage with the ability to just instantly burst. And, this is why we don't really see, Soldier 76, because Sojourn just does everything better than what Soldier 76 can do outside of being able to have a little bit of like a stim pack sustain and, that rate of fire auto lock. But, Dreepy taking that exchange off of Sunnyside there, putting Kasa down one, but McChicken onto the Tracer themselves now, taking that 1v1 against Shashi, but to no avail as Hivemind is going to pick up a double there, following suit on Kasa. A third one to wipe it out, and it is going to be Kasa falling little by little as Hivemind takes the advantage for the first time.
Yeah, definitely a good distance advantage, but we've seen how these push maps can go. They can go all the way to the very last push, so you can't count your eggs before they've hatched in a game like this. The Tracer swap's interesting. It seems like Shashi was pressuring McChicken a little too much when they were staying on that Echo. It's a lovely stun attempt there as McChicken does get How's Your Day. And this is why I talked about the Tracer in the beginning. I think it can do so much work at getting these initial picks that we talk about being so important all the time. And I love the way that Leo is playing around that shield on the side as well. Red X drops the Kyriel, moves them forward, and keeps the pressure up as Sunny gets the first pick on Amity, pushes them forward. McChicken follows up. with a second, and that's going to be a full routing, I think, as they need to regroup. And the robot is back in the favor of Kasa, looking very strong in this map number 3 already.
Yeah, and Amity is going to swap over to that Winston now, clearly just not having the best of time on the Sigma. Leo is feeling very comfortable on Sigma. We are much more frequently seeing Leo resort to that Sigma as their backup tank option, you know, for their comfort pick. And so when the Zarya's banned out, you know, he has no problem still being so aggressive with that Sigma and really just being an offensive menace, all the while still being able to have a lot of protection. We see the grab well coming out right now, catches multiple, almost gets one. McChicken's there to follow with the bomb, and it's going to be Leo and McChicken taking out the members of Hivemind as they are forced away. Sunnyside picking up a retreating Muhiki, and that is going to be a reset for Hivemind once again.
Such a good pulse bomb. And this, like, I don't know what they did to Sigma, right? But these rocks just do so much damage. Even the basic attacks from Sigma just seem to do so much. This hero is crazy. And it's lovely to see them making it work rather than relying only on this Zarya Vendetta combo and winning this, again, pretty handedly. I mean, we're nearly 120 meters already. These team fights are consistently going in their favor, as we see Hex holding on to the beats. There's a lot of ults to work with here, though, for Hivemind. They drop Mahiki. That's already gone. Dreepy, How's Your Day, Shoshi, all with ultimates to work on. Sunny, though, takes out Shoshi. That pulse bomb is not going to be here for this fight. Gets traded out, though. Amity punching for their life. Gets the trade. As we see Leo trying to push forward. It's a lovely railgun shot as well from Dreepy, trying to hold on to this game as much as they can. McChicken making it so tough for this Winston. Mahiki gets a double on this Kiri, and it's a great fight. And they haven't even used the ultimates, by the way, to win that fight. That's just pure brawl. So still holding on to these 3 ults to work with.
Yeah, but we are going to be seeing Kasa coming up here with almost a full team of ults to fight them back, while Muhiki is actually very far away. The beats are dropped very early on here for How's Your Day as well as for Kasa, so it's going to be an outright battle from the get-go as Sunnyside goes for the ultimate as well.
An unbelievable cleanse from the Kiri there. Gets the pulse bomb off and lets Sunnyside dash out. Still goes down to Dreepy in the end, but Shoshi and Amity following up nicely on this team fight win, using everything in their arsenal for it. Every one of their ults to get that win, but they do get the win, and then Shashi styles on McChicken at the end to stagger them and make this even longer. But Leo and Red X holding onto theirs for this next fight.
Yeah, and as the time does wind down, it is important that Kasa is very careful with their ult. You know, their ult management, and Leo and Red X having their ult available right now is very valuable for these upcoming fights, as the members of Hivemind are very low, because Kasa has to be wary. They have been in this situation before. Sunnyside getting a quick railgun melee off on How's Your Day to drop a McChicken, taking out Shashi, as we are seeing the Spirit Gates come out for Red X to advance Kasa forward very handily. Sunnyside with a double kill at the end there, taking out Dreepy and Amity, and Leo still having his ult with 1.5 minutes to go. Kasa has to be very careful. They don't want to overplay their hand. They've been in this situation before. This happened to them last week. They got the payload all the way to the other side, the robot to the other side of the map, and ended up letting it get ran all the way back to their side instead. So they have to play this carefully, and the grab well is out right there. Solo Winston looking to drop him. He's inside his barrier, but Leo is low as well. They need to be careful. Dreepy taking some damage. Muhiki with the Spirit Gates out now.
And just as you called it, it looks like they're making a similar error. Leo thinks he sees an opportunity, goes for that solo grab, doesn't get the damage down. The Winston stays up, and they lose the fight off the back of it. And it's you almost want to not push the robot when it gets down to this kind of point, right? If you know that you want to save those ults, it's almost not worth pushing it closer towards their side, which makes them have to move a lot further in case of these early picks in these fights, and make it easier to get back to the fight if they need it. McChicken not too far away from a pulse bomb though. Shashi with theirs, and the beats from Hex is going to be so clutch here. It's 20 seconds left. This is probably going to be the last fight before overtime. You don't want to overcommit right now. The pulse bomb is good, but Amity is already in big boy form, bullying Lucio, forcing out the beats from Hex. That could be absolutely key in this fight. Hex does finish them off, though. Amity goes down. Sunnyside finishes How's Your Day, and it looks really good for Kasa now off the back of a great fight from Hex, baiting out so much from that Winston and getting the kill in the end with the help of those beats, as it's a fight on this robot getting punched out. Leo McChicken finishing off, and Kasa, what a convincing 3-0 win in this series. That is going to be a huge confidence booster for them going into these final weeks of the season.
A very important win for Kasa to have, not only get a win, consistently, to break their cycle of a little bit of a back and forth for themselves, but to, come in here back-to-back games and get a win. And, after having a close one last week where it went to 5 games, to come in and just definitively win in a quick 3-0 fashion, that's got to feel good. It's their, real first time having this strong and dominating of a showing since their new roster, really, bringing it home really in a quick fashion.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen them kind of really just dominate from pretty much the get-go, minus that one game on Ilias. It's pretty much been Kasa all the way. And just to share with you guys a little private joke here, we have a monster thing here. So for me, it's nearly 3 in the morning right now, and whenever I choose to drink a monster, the games go very fast one way or the other, and whenever I don't, they seem to go all the way, all 5 games. So I'm getting a little superstition here. Maybe I just need to always drink Monster, and Kasa are going to win it every time, just to mess me up in 3-0 fashion. But that's going to be all from us this evening. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here for Kasa Esports. Please feel free to join us for the other games. We've got another series tomorrow, I believe, and another one on Friday this week. So that's going to be all from me for tonight. I've been Simply Nickish.
And I'm Zev.
We'll see you guys tomorrow for the next one.